Patsy Cline was born Virginia Patterson Hensley in Winchester, Virginia, on September 8, 1932, to Hilda Virginia Patterson and Samuel Lawrence Hensley. Her mother was only 16 years old at the time of her birth. Sam Hensley had been married before. Cline had two half-siblings, aged 12 and 15, that lived with a foster family because of their mother's death years before. Now, as a kid, Patsy Cline was called Virginia in her childhood. She was also referred to as Jenny, and she temporarily lived with her mother's family in Gore, Virginia, before relocating many times throughout the state. In her childhood, the family relocated where Samuel Hensley, a blacksmith, could find employment, including Elkton, Staunton, and Norfolk. When the family had little money, she would find work. This included at an Elkton poultry factory, where her job was to pluck and cut chickens. The family moved often before finally settling in Winchester, Virginia, on South Kent Street. Cline would later report that her father sexually abused her. When confiding about the abuse to a friend, Loretta Lynn, Cline told her, "Take this to your grave." Hilda Hensley would later report details of the abuse to producers of Cline's 1985 biopic, Sweet Dreams. At age 13, Cline was hospitalized with a throat infection and rheumatic fever. Speaking of the incident in 1957, she said, "I developed a terrible throat infection, and my heart even stopped beating. The doctors put me in an oxygen tent. You might say it was my return to the living after several days that launched me as a singer. The fever affected my throat, and when I recovered, I had this booming voice like Kate Smith's." It was during this time she developed an interest in singing. She started performing with her mother in the local Baptist choir. Mother and daughter also performed duets at church social events. She also taught herself how to play the piano. Cline's interest in performing continued to build. At age 14, she declared to her mother that she was going to audition for the local radio station. Her first radio performances began at WINC in the Winchester area. According to WINC's radio disc jockey, Joltin' Jim McCoy, Cline appeared in the station's waiting room one day and asked to audition. McCoy was impressed by her audition performance, reportedly saying, "Well, if you've got nerve enough to stand before that mic and sing over the air live, I've got nerve enough to let you." While also performing on the radio, she also started appearing in talent contests and created a nightclub cabaret act similar to performing Helen Morgan. Cline's mother and father had marital conflicts during her childhood, and by 1947, her father deserted the family. Upon entering the 9th grade, Cline enrolled at John Handley High School in Winchester, Virginia. However, the family had trouble sustaining an income after her father's desertion. Therefore, Cline dropped out of high school to help support the family. She began working at Gaunt's Drug Store in the Winchester area as a clerk and soda jerk. Gospel performer Wally Fowler headlined a concert in her hometown. Cline convinced concert employees to let her backstage, where she asked Fowler for an audition. Following a successful audition, Cline's family received a call asking for her to audition for the Opry. She traveled with her mother, two siblings, and a family friend on an 8-hour journey to Nashville, Tennessee. With limited finances, they drove overnight and slept in a Nashville park. Cline auditioned for the Opry performer Moon Mulligan. The audition was well received, and Cline expected to hear from the Opry the same day. However, she never received news and the family returned to Virginia. By the early 1950s, Cline continued performing around the local area. In 1952, she asked to audition for local country bandleader Bill Peer. Following her audition, she began performing regularly as a member of Bill Peer's Medley Boys and Girls. The pair's relationship turned romantic, continuing an affair for several years. Nonetheless, the pair remained married to their spouses. Peer's group played primarily at the Moose Lodge in Brunswick, Maryland, where she would meet her first husband, Gerald Cline. Peer encouraged her to have a more appropriate stage name. She changed her name from Virginia to Patsy, taken from her middle name Patterson. She kept her new last name Cline. In August of 1953, Cline was a contestant in a local country music contest. She won $100 and the opportunity to perform as a regular on Connie B. Gay's Town and Country Time. The show included country stars Jimmy Dean, Roy Clark, George Hamilton IV, and Billy Graham, and was filmed in Washington, D.C. and Arlington, Virginia. She was not officially added to the program's television show until October 1955. In 1954, Bill Peer created and distributed a series of demonstration tapes with Cline's voice on it. A tape was brought to the attention of Phil McCall, president of 4-Star Record. On September 30th, 1954, she signed a 2-year recording contract with the label. Her first recording session took place in Nashville, Tennessee on January 5th, 1955. 4-Star leased the recordings to the larger Decca Records. For those reasons, Owen Bradley was chosen as the session's producer, a professional relationship that would continue into the 1960s. Her first single release was 1955's A Church, a Courtroom, Then Goodbye. Although Cline promoted it with an appearance on the Grand Ole Opry, the song was not successful. Cline recorded a variety of musical styles while recording for 4-Star. This included genres such as gospel, rockabilly, traditional country, and pop. Between 1955 and 56, Cline's 4 singles for 4-Star failed to become hits. However, she continued performing regionally, including on the Town and Country Jamboree. In 1956, she appeared on ABC's Country Music Jubilee. It was at one of her local performances that she met her second husband, Charlie Dick. In 1956, Cline received a call to perform on Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts, a national television show she had auditioned for several months prior. She accepted the offer, using her mother, Hilda Hensley, as her talent scout for the show. According to the show's rules, talent scouts could not be family members. For those reasons, Cline's mother lied in order to appear on the show. When Arthur Godfrey asked if Hensley had known Cline her entire life, she replied, "Yeah, just about." She made her debut appearance on the program on January the 21st. On the day of the show, she met with the show's producer, Jeanette Davis. Cline had chosen A Poor Man's Rose, or A Rich Man's Gold, to perform on the program, but Davis preferred another song she had recorded, Walking After Midnight. Cline initially refused to perform it, but ultimately agreed to it. Davis also suggested Cline wear a cocktail dress instead of the cowgirl outfit created by her mother. She performed Walking After Midnight and won the program's contest that night. The song had not yet been released as a single. In order to keep up with public demand, Decca Records rushed release the song as a single on February 11th. The song ultimately became Cline's breakthrough hit Peaking at number 2 on the Billboard Hot Country and Western side charts, the song also reached number 12 on the Billboard Pop Music chart. The success of Walking After Midnight brought Cline numerous appearances on shows and major networks. She continued working for Arthur Godfrey over the next several months. She also appeared on the Grand Ole Opry in February and the television program Western Ranch Party in March. The money she had earned from her numerous engagements totaled out to about $10,000. Cline gave all the money to her mother, which she used to pay the mortgage on her Winchester house. In August 1957, her debut studio album was issued via Decca Records. Cline's follow-up singles to Walkin' After Midnight did not yield any success. This was partially due to the quality of material chosen for her to record. Cline was dissatisfied with the limited success following Walking After Midnight. Bradley recounted how she often came to him saying, "Hoss, can't you do something? I feel like a prisoner." Around the same time, Cline was fired from her regular slot on Town and Country Jamboree. According to Connie B. Gay, she ran late for shows and showed up with liquor on her breath. In September 1957, Cline married Charlie Dick, and he was soon sent to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, on a military assignment. Cline also gave birth to her first daughter, Julie. In hopes of restarting her career, Cline and her family moved to Nashville, Tennessee. Cline's professional decisions yielded more positive results by the early 1960s. Upon moving to Nashville, she signed a management deal with Randy Hughes. She originally wished to work with Hubert Long, however, he was busy managing other artists. Instead, she turned her attention to Hughes. With the help of Hughes, she began working steadier jobs. He organized $50 bookings and got her multiple performances on the Grand Ole Opry. In January 1960, Cline officially became a member of the Opry. When she asked General Manager Ott Devine about a membership, he replied, "Patsy, if that's all you want, you're on the Opry." Also in January 1960, Cline made her final recording sessions set forth in her contract with 4-Star Records. Later that year, her final singles with the label were released, Lovesick Blues and Crazy Dreams. Leaving 4-Star, Cline officially signed with Decca Records in late 1960, working exclusively under Bradley's direction. Her first release under Decca was 1961's I Fall to Pieces. The song was written by newly established Nashville songwriters Hank Cochran and Harlan Howard. At the recording session, she worried about the song's production, particularly the background vocals performed by the Jordanaires. After much arguing between both Cline and Bradley, they negotiated that she would record I Fall to Pieces, a song Bradley favored, and Lovin' in Vain, a song she favored. Released as a single in January 1961, I Fall to Pieces attracted little attention upon its initial issue. In April, the song debuted on the Hot Country and Western side charts. By August 7th, the song became her first to top the country charts. Additionally, I Fall to Pieces crossed over on the Billboard Pop charts, peaking at number 12. On June 14, 1961, Cline and her brother Sam Hensley Jr. were involved in an automobile accident. Cline had brought her mother and sister and brother to see her new Nashville home the day before. On the day of the accident, Cline and her brother went shopping to buy material for her mother to make clothing. Upon driving home, the car was struck head-on by another vehicle. The impact threw her directly into the car windshield, causing extensive facial injuries. Among her injuries, Cline suffered a broken wrist, dislocated hip, and a large cut across her forehead, barely missing her eyes. Now, her friend Dottie West heard about the accident via the radio and rushed to the scene, helping to remove pieces of broken glass from Cline's hair. When first responders arrived, Cline insisted the driver in the other vehicle be treated first. 2 of the 3 passengers riding in the car that struck Cline died after arriving at the hospital. When she was brought to the hospital, her injuries were life-threatening, and she wasn't expected to live. According to her husband, Charlie Dick, upon waking up, she said to him, "Jesus was here, Charlie. Don't worry. He took my hand and told me, no, not now. I have other things for you to do." She spent a month recovering in the hospital. Cline returned to her career 6 weeks after the car accident. Her first public appearance was on the Grand Ole Opry, where she assured fans she would continue performing. She said to the audience that night, "You're wonderful. I'll tell you one thing. The greatest gift, I think, that you folks could have given me was the encouragement that you gave me, right at the very time I needed you the most. You came through with flyingest colors, and I just wanted to say, you'll just never know how happy you made this old country gal." Cline's follow-up single to I Fall to Pieces was the song Crazy. It was written by Willie Nelson, whose version of the song was first heard by Dick. When Dick brought the song to Cline, she didn't like it. When Dick encouraged her to record Crazy, Cline replied, "I don't care what you say. I don't like it, and I ain't going to record it." And that's that. Bradley liked the song and set the date for its recording for August 17th. When Cline got to Bradley's studio, he convinced her to record it. She listened to Nelson's version of Crazy and decided she was going to perform it differently. Nelson's version included a spoken section that Cline removed. She cut additional material on August 17th, and when she got to Crazy, it became difficult to perform because Cline was still recovering from the accident. Performing the song's high notes caused rib pain. Giving her time to rest, Bradley sent her home while musicians laid down the track without her. A week later, she returned and recorded her vocal in a single take. Crazy was released as a single in October 1961. Her second studio album, Patsy Cline Showcase, was released in late 1961. The album featured both major hits from that year and re-recorded versions of Walking After Midnight and A Poor Man's Rose Are a Rich Man's Gold. In November of 1961, she was invited to perform as part of the Grand Ole Opry's show at Carnegie Hall in New York City. She was joined by opera stars Minnie Pearl, Grandpa Jones, Jim Reeves, Bill Monroe, Marty Robbins, and Farron Young. By the end of the year, Cline had won several major industry awards, including Favorite Female Vocalist from Billboard magazine and Cashbox magazine's Most Programmed Female Artist. Also in 1961, Cline was back in the studio to record an upcoming album. Among the first songs she recorded was She's Got You, written by Hank Cochran. He pitched the song to Cline over the phone. Insisting on hearing it in person, Cochran brought the recording over to her house, along with a bottle of alcohol. Upon listening to it again, she liked the song and wanted to record it. Owen Bradley also liked the song, and it was officially recorded on December 17, 1961. She's Got You became her third country pop crossover hit by early 1962. She Got You would also be her second #1 hit on the Billboard Country chart. In 1962, Cline had 3 major hits with When I Get Through With You, So Wrong, and Imagine That. Cline's career successes helped her become financially stable enough to purchase her first home. Cline called it her dream house and often had friends over to visit. After her death, the house was sold to country artist Wilma Burgess. In August, her 3rd studio album, Sentimentally Yours, was released. It featured She's Got You, as well as several country and pop standards. In February, she recorded her final sessions for Decca Records. Among the songs recorded were Sweet Dreams, He Called Me Baby, and Faded Love. On March 3, 1963, Cline performed a benefit at the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Hall in Kansas City, Kansas, for the family of disc jockey Cactus Jack Call. He had died in an automobile crash a little over a month earlier. All the shows were standing room only. Her final song was the last she had recorded the previous month, I'll Sail My Ship Alone. Cline, who had spent the night at the Townhouse Motor Hotel, was unable to fly out the day after the concert because Fairfax Airport was fogged in. West asked Patsy to ride in the car with her and her husband, Bill, back to Nashville, a 16-hour drive. But Cline refused, saying, "Don't worry about me, Hoss. When it's my time to go, it's my time." On March 5th, she called her mother from the motel and checked out around 12:30 p.m., going the short distance to the airport and boarding a Piper PA-24 Comanche plane. On board were Cline, Cowboy Cocopus, Hawkins, and pilot Randy Hughes. The plane stopped once in Rogers, Arkansas, to refuel and subsequently landed at Dyersburg Municipal Airport in Dyersburg, Tennessee at 5 p.m. Hawkins had accepted Billy Walker's place after Walker left on a commercial flight to take care of a stricken family member. The Dyersburg, Tennessee airfield manager suggested that they stay the night because of high winds and inclement weather, offering them free room and meals. But Hughes, who was not trained in instrument flying, said, "I've already come this far. We'll be there before you know it." The plane took off at 6:07 p.m. Cline's flight crashed in heavy weather on the evening of March 5th, 1963. Her recovered wristwatch had stopped at 6:20 p.m. Forensic examination concluded that everyone aboard had been killed instantly. Okay, that's the end of our video. I sure hope you enjoyed it. If you like this type of video and want us to keep producing them, please like and subscribe. And as always, thank you very much for watching.